Harvard professor says we should just trust students not to cheat in their online classes. Why not? When some schools are allowing them to choose their own grades, for God's sake. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today, we're discussing Harvard's new emergency grading system. Plus, online exams are growing in popularity after the ACT and SAT on-site exams are canceled. Gee, when you got professors saying we're not going to bother to pay attention if you're cheating or not. And we deliver some real education featuring the instant classic Laocoön and his sons, a great piece of statuary from the classical world that was dug up in the Renaissance. But we start in the ivy-covered halls of Harvard University, where professors say students should just be trusted not to cheat on any of their upcoming online exams because they have faith in the honor code.
Well, we know that Harvard students have dispersed around the country because of the coronavirus, just as all college students have. And it's the first week of online classes. So Harvard faculty are determining, well, how are we going to distribute our tests? Well, they have faith. They say they have faith in the college's honor code to guard against the temptation of this mid-exam Googling that probably more than likely will happen with all of them.
Right. I get that there's limits that you can do, but you can give timed exams, right? But here's the thing. If you're giving a timed exam, you got your cell phone right there. Why? Just Google the answer. The idea that you're telling us now that you trust Harvard kids because the Harvard kids is ridiculous. I mean, so we have a situation now where you've basically told kids, right, that because of the coronavirus and because of the stress, we're going to completely change admissions moving forward, right?
Yes.
It doesn't matter what your qualifications you get into college. We've told you now that we're going to start erasing your student loan debt, $10,000 at a time, right? Mm-hmm. We've told you now that you can, places like Penn State, you can change your grades after they're filed. At my university, I can give you a grade and you'll have 2 weeks to negotiate whether that grade is fair or not. And a committee that may or may not include me gets to decide whether you get a better grade. And now at Harvard, wink, 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 we'll trust you. Just do whatever you need to do to get through your exams.
Have we not? If you can't see now, students and parents, that piece of paper they get at the end of the 4 years is completely a waste of
time
everything.
And money. And I go back to this again. This is the time where your kids, because they're stressed out,
Anxiety.
Your kids are sitting around the house. What better time for them to lock themselves in their bedroom and get to work? I mean, how many of the world's other distractions, like partying, like dating, like drinking, how many of your kids' other real distractions have been removed? Why can't they work harder now? Why can't they work with greater focus? Why can't we expect more from them? We have to waive almost every rudimentary sign of achievement, every responsibility, every expectation we waive because a virus. This is opportunistic on the part of the universities, right? This radically allows them to go down the road they were going at much greater speeds. Universities now, right before your eyes, are never going back. They will never go back now. How do you turn it off? How then I promise you what's going to happen. We already saw before the coronavirus, right? Kids were demanding final exams be removed because they're just too stressful. Mm-hmm. They were demanding that the kinds of exams that you get in math and science are holdovers of white supremacism, right? They're not fluid enough. You think this is going to change when the virus is dead? At this rate, we will have no entry requirements at all. We will have no grades whatsoever, and we will not charge any kid anywhere in the world who wants to come to American college one dime. It'll all be on the taxpayers.
I was going to say, you better put that little end note there. It'll be all on the taxpayers. What's happening at Harvard, specifically, a lot of the instructors now have chosen to shift their exams that they have remaining in this semester to an open book format instead of a closed book. So they're going to say that students, yep, absolutely, you can consult your textbooks.
Why would you need to cheat
when you
could? So, and by the way, if opening your textbook during the exam is not cheating, why is Googling it?
Well, that's why
the implication is that they still argue that Googling it. Why? If you can get the information to relate to me on the test anywhere you want to get it from, why is, in fact, Googling is more efficient, right?
It is true.
So
ask Siri.
Why exactly? Ask Siri. Why is opening the book during a closed test versus Google better? One is better than the other.
Because
one is bad and the other's not.
Because this will be the first time they have to open that book all semester now.
That's probably true, too.
It's putting
and by the way, can I make this point? Wouldn't you think at the elitist of the elite universities, where the students are much more innately gifted, we're told, than anywhere else, why are those kids more fragile? Why are the kids that go to the most privileged universities in the world, why are they the ones that need greater sensitivities to the stress of being brilliant? Why is that
because
necessary?
they are above all of us.
Evidently, in stress, I suppose their stress levels, their ability to cope with stress are far less. I guarantee you there are kids out there at the same age who are welding 18 hours a day, who have not melted from the stress, right? There are kids working in groceries, high schools, juniors, working in grocery stores at places like Walmart who run the real risk of catching something, while your Harvard children are hankered down with their cell phones and they're too stressed out to actually take an honest test or read a book.
That was very nice. That was very nice. Question for you, though, as a professor who is teaching online now, have you had to change anything? The way you do grading or anything?
I don't change the grading. The lectures are the lectures. You know, I have come to the realization, and we know this is true, that for college kids, if what you're doing is, there's no way to know they're watching you. There's just, what I do is I tell them, when you write your daily journal, don't just write the journal about the book, incorporate aspects of my lecture so I can get them to at least acknowledge that they've paid 2 seconds worth. And the clever ones are what they're going to do. They're going to watch the last 5 minutes of the video.
Or just scrub through it. Yep.
Exactly, and they'll throw something in there. There's nothing you can do about this. And that belies something. It belies the idea that not all, but far too many of our college kids already don't belong in college. If you're a college kid who's paying this much money for your education and you're not interested, we saw this earlier in the week when we talked about in Los Angeles High School, the Los Angeles County high school and middle school kids, 15,000 have not even bothered to show up for classes. If you're a college kid who's paying for his or her education and you're not interested, and the numbers of those kids are well over 50%, these are the kids who shouldn't have been to college in the first place. And your response, higher ed, is to waive all recommendations, waive all requirements. No test scores, no class rank. We're not going to require you to take the SAT and the ACT. You just, for the next 3 years in North Carolina, you show up, we'll take you.
There is no learning being done, no lessons being learned. And Harvard is just actually the latest in the slew of all the universities across the nation who are changing, as we talked about, the way they're doing grading.
Not just are they changing the things we've talked about already, now they're cheating isn't cheating if we trust you.
We trust
now
you,
we're
honor code.
And given the new grading system, why would anybody have to cheat?
Yep. Now they're going to a PF system, a pass-fail, because of Corona. We're just going to say everything now is coronavirus's fault. Maybe coronavirus is the new Donald Trump, because everything is Donald Trump's fault. Now everything's coronavirus's fault. Anywho, this is going to be, the pass-fail system is to protect students who are struggling as a result of the ongoing pandemic, and out of a commitment to equity. Always to equity.
Not to grades or achievement.
Nope.
It's equity. Not every kid will work as hard, so we can't reward the hardworking kids. We gotta reward the non-hardworking kids so that they're treated equally.
Of course, and this is an emergency grading system, so they're putting all the lights on. Emergency. So you will either get an emergency SAT, satisfactory it stands for, or an emergency unsat, which is unsatisfactory, grade for each of your courses. So an emergency SAT basically means, you passed the course. And emergency unsat means the opposite. And a SAT is just a C- or better. What would equate to being a
And how much do you want to bet the
better?
emergency unsatisfactory kids, the few that will be there, will be allowed to, because of the crisis, take the course over?
They'll get an I, incomplete for now,
or they'll get their money back. It'll be expunged from their record.
All of it.
Harvard Dean Claudine Gay said, quote, many students are living under various lockdown orders. Okay, they're locked down with their computers and their books.
In their house, yeah.
Anyway, many students are living under various lockdown orders, dealing with the anxiety of escalating crisis and the frustration of trying to study with a house full of family members. Really? Really?
That's
a dorm
the
full of
best.
drunken, reveling college kids is fine to study in.
Mm-hmm.
But to be there and to have your freshman in high school little brother 3 rooms down, really? That's why you can't study? Because mom and
loved it.
dad are watching Bonanza repeats in the basement?
People still watch Bonanza.
This is why you can't study? Really?
I get distracted by watching Matlock. So that's what would happen to me.
I would have pegged you for a Murder, She Wrote girl.
Oh, I am a Murder,
There
She
you
Wrote girl,
go.
too, but Matlock. Anyway.
Literally, let me repeat that again. But for some students, the challenges have been more severe. Some have seen parent job losses or have had to take over childcare or other household responsibilities. The life of a Harvard undergraduate, apparently all you have time to do is contemplate the genius of your own bowel movements. The idea that people would have responsibilities outside of their schoolwork, it just seems so alien to the Ivy League.
And you know how this all started is because of our concerned students. Harvard Dean Amanda Clayball said, "I'd like to thank all of you who spoke out so passionately and so thoughtfully about this issue. Our thinking was informed by the Harvard Crimson editorials,
there you go.
by undergraduate council proposals, by consultation with the Honor Council, but it was informed just as much by the individual emails by so many
any
of you.
whiny, complaining email, we will take that as reality, right?
Yes.
And the more these kids have figured out, the more they whine, the more collectively they whine, and the more raucous their complaints, the more the universities will cave in. And we're already 2 shows into today, and we know that Harvard now isn't going to bother with your cheating. If you're going to cheat, number 1 is what they're telling you. And number 2, don't worry about cheating anyway because the grades are so watered down that everyone's going to get through, regardless of what they do or don't know. How much are they paying for this semester at Harvard?
Gosh,
25, 30,000?
At least that much.
More than
It was
that.
at least, I thought it was up
More
there
than
almost
that.
50.
Easy.
Yeah. Well, when you put housing in there and food, yeah, Harvard. Well, we have learned that online exams, not like the ones being taken at Harvard, but the online exams to even get you into the colleges, there are certain ones that are gaining popularity because the SAT and the ACT, which are the standard exams, you can't have them be held on site anymore. So at least through May, the SAT and ACTs have been canceled. And so students are registering for the Classic Learning Test, which is an online exam. It was established in 2015 by CEO Jeremy Tate. He says that it aims to provide alternative standardized tests rooted in tradition and taking advantage of modern technologies. And you can take them right from your home. And he said just within what's going on now, registration has jumped 300%, and he expects 5,000 students to take it by the end of the month.
Sure, and that's still nothing, because one of the things that the coronavirus is going to do is ring the death knell for standardized tests, at least as far as getting you into college. And we know that for years, a number of years before the virus even hit, colleges were already moving away from a test-based entry because here, and what you've seen, the response to the coronavirus tells you where they are, right? The purpose of college is to include everybody. The purpose of college is to give every single American citizen who wants to go a diploma, no matter whether they want one themselves, no matter if they try very hard, no matter if they're even capable of doing the work. The purpose of schools is inclusion. And that means that we are targeting people who otherwise wouldn't be here and shouldn't be here. So the point is that don't even if I'm mom and dad, don't bother taking the alternate tests. And when you go to apply to a college way above your kid's achievement level, you blame the lack of preparation and you blame all of this stuff on the coronavirus. And when they don't let you in, you sue them, because they have already changed all their protocols. None of this stuff matters anymore. You really think these tests matter when Harvard professors are telling you, actual Harvard students, don't cheat, we trust you? That's all we're going to do about this? Forget it. You don't waste your money on this test. It's utterly unnecessary.
Are you trying to say forget about it?
Forget about it, right?
Forget about
And when they ask you for your test scores, have somebody who's literate, your grandma, write a heartfelt letter about why you couldn't take the tests.
But if she handwrites it, the people
Don't
at
know it
admins,
wasn't
they
you,
won't.
no.
Well, they won't know how to read it either.
Have it written in emojis.
There.
Have your grandmother write a letter why
Perfect.
you were too anxious to take the tests, and have her do it in
The
emojis.
sad face.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
don't. Okay.
Have a little puking emoji for what thinking about taking a test made you feel like, right? And you're golden.
Well, now it's time for some real education.
Yes, the news gets ever more crazy, ever more depressing. But we do have real education segments out here, and this is one of them. This is our Instant Classic segment. And today's Instant Classic is about Laocoön.
This is a statue that was excavated in 1506 in Rome, which, if you want to put it into historical time, is the same time that Michelangelo was actually painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. The sculpture was placed for public display in the Vatican, and it's there to this day. It's about life size, with the figures in the sculpture being 6'7" in height, which is my husband's height. It shows Trojan priest Laocoön and his two sons.
This is one of those statues that changed the world. It really did. It was created, thousands of years ago under the Roman rule, and it was buried. And whatever catastrophe befell this beautiful work of art, it was not known. And random digging, some kind of an improvement program in Renaissance Rome, unearthed it. And it was like a revolution. People watched these statues. Again, Michelangelo was already beginning to make statues of this quality anyway. But this really provided an upfront model that got everybody really excited. It really is a brilliant image. Look at the detail of the head there on the right, the detail of the beard and the hair. It reminds us of Michelangelo's Moses, which we showed you last week, I believe it was, the musculature of the figures. And this is on a very important classical subject. Laocoön was a Trojan priest. This comes from the Aeneid, right? And he had warned the Trojans not to take the Trojan horse into the city. He knew from his priestly vocation that if they carried the Trojan horse into the city of Troy would be destroyed. What you and I knew that he didn't know, it was full of Greek soldiers, right, including Odysseus. And so the gods apparently wanted the war to end just as much as the Greeks did, because one of the gods sent two swimming serpents, right, to attack Laocoön for making his true prediction. And there he is. There is Laocoön, and the snakes that have come from the sea to swallow up him and his two sons for daring to tell the Greeks and the Trojans the truth about the Trojan War. If you do take that Trojan horse into the city, you will be destroyed. And for his pains of telling the truth, Laocoön and his sons, you see the moment of their agony, right? These sea serpents slithered onto shore, surrounded the boys, surrounded the father, ultimately murdered and ate them, I suppose, is what ended up happening to them. And the Trojans were so terrified by this that they took the horse into the city rather than further anger the gods. And when this statue, again, was found, think about the dying agony pose of the features. One more time, show the picture. The writhing agony. The writhing agony of the three human figures perfectly mirrors the writhing torment of the snakes. And what an anatomical tour de force, right? Being able to picture in marble, in stone, the movement of bodies, the bones and the muscles of bodies under the skin that you see here. When you think about Michelangelo's David, when that kind of musculature, that breathability, that humanness of the statues. You think about what sculpture would become under the hands of the Renaissance masters. Digging this up was like a huge sign from above that Renaissance art was doing exactly what it needed to do.
And that's going to do it for another week, all of us in isolation. For those of you with kids, just a reminder that Freedom Project Media is releasing 2 daily animated education videos on our Facebook page. We highlight a new American president every day at 10 a.m. Central Time and one of the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence at 2 p.m. So gather the kids and do a little homeschooling with Freedom Project.
Just a quick reminder that despite millions of children locked out of their public schools, Freedom Project students are still studying. They're still taking tests that actually they can't cheat on, and that parents have to watch them over, and they're learning things, and they're not getting pass fails. If you have a student in K-12, anywhere from kindergarten through 12th grade, take a look at our Judeo-Christian live online classes for next fall. This is the time to enroll for the fall. Request your free information packet at freedomforschool.com. That's freedomforschool.com. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke, and she's Katie. For next time, teach your kids to say Laocoön.